The Meta Quest 3 VR headset. What are all its upgrades and how good is it really? That is exactly what we are gonna discuss in this full review. Starting it off with the Quest 3 hardware, because right out of the box, it has a complete new look. From the much smaller headset to its redesigned controllers. But with the main reason for this new design being what Meta called their pancake lenses. This is Meta's breakthrough technology that doesn't only make it possible for the headset to be much more compact, but also giving the users a much more sharper image, even taking it so far that it also increases your field of view, as well as making the graphics look a lot more clear. But that's not the only difference, because Meta also completely changed the head strap to make it more adjustable and especially more comfortable for longer gaming sessions, although an upgraded head strap is still highly recommended. And a third big improvement comes from its higher resolution screens, where the Quest 3 now got a 30% increase in pixels. And what that means in practice is that it will give you a much sharper image inside virtual reality that will take your VR experience to the absolute next level, since thanks to this increase, it makes it one of the highest resolution VR headsets that are available. But another highly overlooked, yet insanely important feature is the improvement in audio. Since with the previous Quest 2, the sound coming from the headset was far from perfect, where the Quest 3 luckily got a big boost on both quality as well as the volume of your audio. So it now actually feels like they put some thought behind it, instead of just adding it in last minute. And all of these improvements can be run thanks to its major change in the chipset that they use, with this one being called the Snapdragon XR2 Generation 2. And this was not just a small step for VR, because it has 2.6 times more graphical horsepower compared to the Quest 2. Either way, when you're using your Quest 3, you will also have to interact with your virtual environments. And that is now possible with its redesigned controllers, with the most obvious and biggest change that they now took out the tracking ring. But don't worry, it doesn't compromise for its quality in any sort of way. Instead, it does actually quite the opposite, because they now made the controllers feel much more ergonomic and also improved on the quality of the haptics while they were at it. This means you will feel much more realistic rumbles inside your hand, almost making it feel like you are touching the virtual object in real life. But just like the Quest 2, you can completely ditch the controllers and instead use their hand tracking feature. While this is slightly more limited and doesn't give you any haptic feedback when interacting with objects, it does make it much more intuitive and is especially helpful if you're doing things like typing or productivity work. Also, if you're finding this video helpful, then a punch on that like button would be highly appreciated. But besides all these big hardware improvements, is there Quest 3 software? Because even with the best hardware possible, if you don't have amazing games or VR experiences, there will be absolutely no reason for people to buy your headset. And that is why it was a strategic move from Meta to make the entire Quest 2 library of games and apps directly available on the Quest 3 at launch. And that also means that everybody who already owned a Quest 2 headset will still have access to all their VR titles when they log in onto their new Quest 3, so you don't have to worry about your games being lost or having to repurchase them all over again. But knowing Meta, they leveled it up even further, because most of their big VR game titles also got a huge improvement in quality when being played on the Quest 3. And this of course comes at no additional cost. So games like Assassin's Creed Nexus or Asgard's Wrath 2 will look a lot more crisp when being played on the Quest 3 compared to the Quest 2. And that is not even taking into account the potential exclusives that they will make in the future. But an important part of these standalone VR headsets that often people forget is that the Quest 3 is also capable of playing PC VR content. That means all the AAA games like Half-Life Alyx or Boneworks can also be played on here. The only side note that to be able to run these, you will also need a buff gaming PC. But even for those who don't own one, there are also additional options like SideQuest or AppLab that can let you download games that are not yet available on the Meta Quest store, making the Quest 3 look good in almost any situation. But of course, Meta's most important yet controversial feature is their mixed reality. To quickly explain the concept first, is that in virtual reality, you are completely immersed inside a generated world where everything around you is basically rendered and has nothing to do with the space that you're standing in. Where mixed reality is using the surroundings of your room that you're playing in as a canvas to project the virtual objects onto. But with that out of the way, this mixed reality experience is brand new to the Quest 3 thanks to its built-in full-color cameras that are on the front of the visor. But while it looked absolutely stunning at first, where we could see concepts from people learning piano or playing games inside their own home, when trying it out yourself, you will notice that it is still far from perfect. With a lot of warping and strange motion blur, it doesn't really represent what we thought it would be like. But hopefully, a lot of these issues can still be fixed in future software updates. But that gets us to the final conclusion. The Quest 3 headset is an absolute beast all across the board. From an increased resolution to brand new pancake lenses, while adding in the redesigned controllers and running it all with their upgraded chipset, this headset looks absolutely unstoppable. And with its great library of games and possibility to also play PC VR titles, I truly believe that this is the best meta VR headset that you can get right now. And while there is still room for improvement, like their mixed reality feature, most of this can be fixed in future software updates. And while its price point is rocking in at $499, it is a great improvement that sure is worth your time. But if you want to see the Quest 3 compared to other VR headsets, then click on the video you see on screen right now to make sure you don't miss out.